honey and it's made by some bees. You know the plants are pollinated by bees.
Good morning, YouTube. I'm spending the morning in the kitchen, and I thought I'd bring you along. So I have an influx of tomatoes. Well, maybe I wouldn't call it an influx because I watch all these other YouTubers, and when they say they have a lot of tomatoes, they really have a lot of tomatoes. I don't by any means have a lot of tomatoes by their standards. I do, however, have more tomatoes than I can eat at one time. So I am going to make a sauce that I can preserve in the only way that I know how, and that's to freeze it. I am terrified to can things or even try to can things. I made a batch of tomato sauce a week ago. Now, I've been making my own spaghetti sauces and pasta sauces from store-bought canned tomatoes for a while now, and just make it work for us, and season it for us in the way that we like it. However, this is the first time that I have made it from my own tomatoes. And the tomatoes, when you buy them, I guess because they process it and then I don't know what they do, but their sauce is way, way, way redder than my sauce. With that said, my sauce tastes amazing. So, I'm not too worried that my sauce isn't red. I leave all of the skins on because what I'm going to end up doing is using the pureer thing. That thing has a name, but I can't remember. You'll see it later because we'll do it together. And it just annihilates all of the skins and those things. So why not just work smarter, guys? Plus, then you get to keep all of the nutrients on the amazing, beautiful vegetable that you worked so hard to make, right? Or to create, or grow, or maybe you bought them. And that's fine too. You might find growing isn't your thing. So maybe on your homestead, you're supporting other farmers, right? And you go to your local farmer's market and you get a great deal on a huge bushel of tomatoes. So you buy the huge bushel of tomatoes and then you get it home and you don't know what to do with it, right? Because that's a thing. We can't all grow all of the things. So you could find that maybe you are great at growing chickens. And that's the only thing you're great at growing. So you exchange chicken eggs for produce. It's a great way to make use of your resources and your overflow of chicken eggs, right? I have not grown any chickens. Haven't needed to grow any chickens. I have 3 neighbors who grow chickens. Ooh, this tomato might not be very good. Let's see. We're gonna vote that one was bad because it looks weird. I don't know for sure if it was or not, but Or what did I say it was? Anyway. So we may not grow chickens. Or if we grow chickens, it might be for meat. Because we have plenty of eggs that we get from our neighbors who are great at growing chickens. And they grow chickens, and their chickens grow lots and lots and lots of eggs. So it might be that we grow flowers and those kinds of things while they grow chicken eggs, and we exchange, you know. We'll just have to see how our homestead evolves and grows and all the kind of good stuff. But what I did when I made tomato sauce the last time is I boiled it on the stove. And I let it boil and go and go and go the bulk of the day. I am taking these tomatoes and I'm putting them in the pressure canner. Not pressure canner. That's not the right word. Pressure cooker. I figure they can stay in there and cook the bulk of the day and not heat up the whole house. And I can kind of set it and forget it kind of thing and not have to tend to it. And since the goal is to basically cook them down and reduce them until they're kind of thick. Now, when you mush them around with the immersion blender, that's what that thing's called. You will end up with a thicker sauce than you would have ended up if you took all of the skins and things off of your tomato, because the skins will thicken your sauce as well. So if you make a good base sauce, then you can turn it into other things later. Now, I have not gotten enough courage to can things, and maybe by this time next year, you and I will be experimenting with canning together and figuring those things out, but I have not gotten there yet. I do have the ability to have my great grandmother's canner, because she did can. And oddly enough, in her basement, there are still some canned things that are older than me. So I'm gonna assume that those things aren't edible. But they're there, preserving themselves. So I have, and I did, no, that wasn't a spider. Looks like one though. Not every single one of my tomatoes are super red. I think that gives your sauce a little more depth. Because not all your tomatoes are the same. They're not all the same variety. I don't know what varieties are, but I can just tell you by the looks of them, they can't be all the same variety, because some are like little tiny things and some are big. So this is what we got. A big old pressure cooker pot of tomatoes. Now, when I season anything, I don't measure. Unless it's a recipe like you're baking, I just throw stuff in and hope it looks good. So this is oregano. An Italian seasoning. I'm going to have to get another jar because I'm sure we're going to need more of that. But that's empty. Garlic powder. Now, this stuff is called Amazing Burger Grill Seasoning, but for whatever's in here is smoked stuff, and it really, really, really gives your sauce kind of some dimension that you wouldn't think of. So we're just gonna pour a bunch in there, and then just some salt. Everything needs salt, right? So what I'm gonna do also, because we need some juice to get going, right? But I don't want to add water, because you're essentially trying to boil the water out of the tomatoes to make it thick, right? So I'm just gonna smush some of these tomatoes just to get some juice in the bottom of the thing to meet the pressure cooker needs some juice to get started so your stuff doesn't explode. Basically. At least that's my understanding. I have been terrified of my pressure cooker or an Instapot or any of those things. But I have found my pressure cooker makes amazing broccoli soup that I cannot make on the stovetop if my life depended on it. But I can make it in this thing, and it doesn't like get funky cheese clumps in it. So maybe we'll go through that one day. And it's stupid simple. Like, it's broccoli and some water, and you let it go, and then you put in some Alfredo sauce and some other things, and then you just let it all melt together. Like, it's super stupid simple. Okay. So I am going to put this in the pressure canner. Damn it. Not canner. Cooker. I don't even have a pressure canner, guys. So I don't really know why I keep throwing out that word. I'm going to find a setting that looks good to my gut and let it go. Once this process is done, I'll bring you all back. We'll immersion blend it together, and then we will we'll give it a taste test, and then put it in some freezer bags, because that's where this is going to go. It's going to go in the freezer. I have a little bit of sauce left over from the other night that I might use today, and everything else is going to go in the freezer because we don't use it fast enough. Hello, we are back. It's been hours. I have different clothes on because life. I set this to pressure the tomatoes, pressure cook them for an hour. And I took the lid off, depressured it, and all the scary stuff. And it was still too watery. So I put it on to slow cook on high for 8 hours. Not 8 hours, that's a lie, 4 hours. And then left and dropped kids off at grandparents' house and those kinds of things. It tastes really good. I came back. I just used the stick blender or the immersion blender or whatever you want to call it. I used to think these things were kind of crap because you have a blender, right? So you just put stuff in your blender. These are way different than a blender. Yes, essentially they kind of do the same thing, but not having to dirty another dish, not having to fight with the blender, and you can do stuff when it's hot or when it's cold or when it's whatever. The one thing to note when you do put it on the bottom of your pan, which it's meant to do, it will create a suction. So you want to make sure that your blade is done before you lift it up. going to leave this sit slow cooking for, I'm going to turn it on high for like 2 more hours. Let it thicken up while I'm still awake. Put it in the refrigerator, and then if I still think it's kind of too watery in the morning, maybe cook it a little bit longer. I don't think I'm comfortable leaving my slow cooker on all day and all night. I know people do it, but I feel like I live in a log cabin, and that's risky. I don't know. But it tastes good. It just needs to get a little thicker. But what I will do once I decide it's thick enough, I will put it in baggies, and I'm just gonna freeze it. And then when we need spaghetti sauce or pasta sauce or something like, pizza sauce, thicken it up some more and use it for those things. We eat plenty of spaghetti and spaghetti squash and spaghetti type things that I probably won't make it too thick, because once you put all your meat and stuff in it, it won't be bad. But that's my plan. Thanks for coming along on the journey. I have just learned that you all might not be seeing the subscribe button. If there's a little box in the corner, push that box and it'll turn me on full screen. And then you'll find the subscribe button. And if you could, push that and follow along. Subscribe. Do the YouTubey things. I'll see you in the next one.